Hi, this is Dave, and yes, my background is my land up north at night. We've got Mr. Bear in the background, so it's pleasant thoughts. But this video is about, did I make good use of my life? I'm at the end, or I finished my 41-year career of working full time, and I look back and I think, did I make good choices? Was that the right thing to do? Did I make good use of that 41 years? So let's go back to how I first decided to become an engineer. When I was a kid, I had a model railroad and I enjoyed hooking up the wires to the tracks and all the little lights in the buildings and stuff like that. And I mentioned to my dad one day, I think I'm going to become an electrician. And my dad said, why don't you become an electrical engineer? I said, yeah, okay. So I started out at Calvin College to become an electrical engineer. But I got into my first physics class and decided all those calculations for the electrical stuff was kind of driving me nuts, and I'd probably be better off being a mechanical engineer. So then I set down the path of becoming a mechanical engineer. I was going to Calvin College in Grand Rapids. It's a Christian college, and the director of the engineering department, Dr. Bosher, used to tell us, you can't just be Christians who are engineers, you have to be Christian engineers. So you need to serve God by your vocation. And if you can't see how you're serving God by being an engineer, then you should not be an engineer. You should be something else. And I took that pretty seriously. And the first thing I had to struggle through with that was the engineering program was pretty tough. And I often thought about quitting and going into something easier, such as maybe psychology. But as I struggled and struggled, I finally decided, no, I'm going to be doing more good for the world and therefore serving God better by being an engineer than I could by being a psychologist. And so I stayed in engineering. And then when it became time to get a job, I wanted to do something important, very significant with my life. And so I thought about joining the Air Force because that's national defense. That certainly has a huge impact on the world. But the Air Force had enough mechanical engineers. And so I went into the private sector and I went for a large corporation. And I thought, well, with a large corporation, we're going to have an effect on the economy that's going to affect everybody's lives. The products we make are going to affect people's lives. And so I'm going to be doing something significant, serving God through my place in this large corporation. And I felt that way throughout most of my career until the last year and a half. We got some very startling messages from our senior leadership team. And they made it clear that what we're really all about, what's really the only important thing, what's really worth all our effort and devoting our lives to, is earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT. That's it. If you increase EBIT, you increase the stock price, that increases the bonuses of the senior leadership team, and that's what's worth devoting our life to, sacrificing our health, sacrificing our family relationships, EBIT, just EBIT. That's what it's all about. Now, it sounds cynical, but they made it pretty clear. And especially it was made crystal clear in a meeting we had with the CEO, an all people meeting with the CEO. The CEO and the head of HR were there to roll out some behaviors that we were supposed to do as employees. And it was stupid stuff, but the CEO and the head of HR seemed all excited about it. Well, at the beginning of this meeting, they started out, as they did at all meetings, with a safety message. And I always used to think that was pretty cool. The company cared about safety. They cared about us as human beings. They valued our lives. But the vice president who gave the safety message put it into a very different perspective. She said that the reason we care about safety is because the studies show that companies with better safety records are more profitable. And I thought, oh, it's not that we care about human life. It's all about EBIT. I thought, does she realize what she's saying? And I also thought, well, what if next year the studies show that companies with bad safety records are more profitable? Are they going to go through the company and make it less safe? Because the only thing, absolutely the only thing that's important is profit, EBIT, stock price. And I thought, this is not what I signed up for 40 years, at that time, 40 years ago. Gave me a very different perspective and started to make me wonder, did I really waste 41 years of my life working for something that's very different than what I thought I was working for? Well, I don't think that I did waste my life. And it kind of goes back to a struggle I went through when I was in college about what really makes your life worthwhile. What is worth pursuing? How do you know you've done a good job with your life or wasted your life? And I concluded that what makes my life worthwhile, what makes my choices worthwhile, is if I go down the path that God wants me to go down. That's going to be different for me than it is for other people. But if I do the career that God wants me to do, and your life is more about more than just your career too. If you do the other things with your life that believe God wants you to do, then it's worthwhile. And I believe I went down the career path God wanted me to go down. I believe I did the family things that God wanted me to do, and serving my fraternity along the way, and doing volunteer things at church along the way. I believe I went down the path God wanted me to go down. And based on that, I think my life was worthwhile. I don't think I wasted it. I think I made good use of it. And of course, it's not over yet, but just reflecting on my career and the time up to this point, because I think I did what God wanted me to do with my life, I did not waste my life, and it's been worthwhile going down that path. So that is my philosophy for today. Check back for more.